Tonight, I want to switch gears a little bit because this year we have had more projects come through regarding SOPs than I think I've seen ever before. And I think it's actually worth talking about here because this is clearly a hot topic for you guys, and I want to cover it. Here's the thing: most companies don't wake up one day and say, let's revamp our SOPs. It usually starts with a problem, sometimes a small one, sometimes a full on operational breakdown, right? So tonight I want to talk about why your SOPs might be due for a refresh. Now, how to know it's time and what to do about it, okay? Now, maybe this sounds familiar. You're a team lead, you're the head of a department, you're maybe even a CLO. You've built a team, or maybe you've inherited them. You know, things are growing, people are working, we're checking items off on the to do list, but lately something feels off. Okay. People are asking questions that they shouldn't really need to ask. Oh, and so it does it this way. And that's not how I was taught. It's things like that that you'll kind of keep hearing on a more consistent basis. Now, at your level, you may not have an idea of how it all gets done, right? From one day to the next. The actuals probably not. But you have an idea, right? Processes that used to work are now suddenly clunky. Things become inconsistent like information and data. Things are inconsistent like information and data, maybe utilization of equipment and supplies depending on which industry you're in. New hires are taking way too long to ramp up. And given that we're all pretty much working on a skeleton crew, it's kind of important for them to be up to speed as quickly as possible. And even though everyone's busy, it feels like you're kind of paddling along in place, right? So, how did we get here? Over the last 12 months, we have seen a noticeable uptick in calls from companies and private organizations in industries like logistics, healthcare, fintech, government, retail, luxury retail, saying something to the effect of, our SOPs don't reflect how we actually work anymore. Can you help us? Now, sometimes they were written years ago and they're just no longer relevant because things have changed, times have changed, right? And sometimes they were just kind of copied and pasted from one department to the next. And in many cases, they only exist in someone's head. That is probably more common than not. We worked with a company recently where the staff printed but wrote out on paper their own version of the processes because the official ones were pretty much useless, kind of like a cheat sheet. Now, that's how wide the gap had gotten between what was documented and what people were actually doing. Now, one person mentioned he doesn't even go into, in this case, it was SharePoint for them, their SharePoint drive where all of the SOPs are kept, or so they should be. And frankly, when we looked at them, they were really out of date and really inconsistent. So, in a way, they were written, but not really useful. Now, here's where things start to kind of hurt. When your SOPs are out of date, people create workarounds. Workarounds create inconsistencies. Inconsistencies breed errors, delays, reworks, tribal knowledge, and I think the worst of all, something that I refer to quite a bit, which is called shadow IT. Now, in some industries, compliance is a huge risk. One client in the financial services space had a process for client onboarding that hadn't been updated since 2019. And oh, how things have changed since 2019. They added 3 new tools of technology in their technology stack since then, which were not connected to one another, so they were compartmentalized, and were also not the best fit for what they were trying to achieve, and not a single update to any of their SOPs. And I know people get busy, and I get it, but this is really important because when everyone is really busy and there is already a full plate of things to do. It's really hard to then stop what you're doing and try to help that person figure out how to do something they should already know how to do. They also, this particular example that I'm sharing with you is they also had some team members using some of the software while others didn't like some of it. So they just didn't use it on their own. And they kept their information and data. Some kept it in their Outlook, others on their desktop. Some had their own Excel spreadsheets that no one else had access to. So as a result, our clients, new clients, were getting three different experiences depending on who was handling their onboarding at that particular process. And it was really kind of messy. And it was costing them, in this case, not the business because of the nature of what they do, but it was costing them time and it was costing them customer confidence. So, why it might keep you up at night? Here's the deeper layer. Now, when your SOPs don't work, it starts to chip away at morale. And I know that you might not be connecting those two, but when things are become stressful, redundant, you have to keep doing it, you have to keep trying it, it becomes frustrating. And that frustration kind of just builds on the rest of life's frustrations. People start to feel like they're being set up to fail. Managers start firefighting instead of leading. High performers start burning out trying to hold it all together. And that's how this whole thing unfolds. So, a leader, you start wondering, are we growing too fast? Have we ignored this for so long that it no longer reflects today's business? Are we unintentionally sabotaging ourselves? Or am I losing control of the business that I worked so hard to build? I think we don't talk about it enough, the emotional toll of operational chaos, but it is real. And in almost every one of these projects that we've taken on this year, and they're still coming in, there have been moments where someone says, I'm just tired of doing the same thing five different ways. Or people are quitting because it's frustrating. When they work with one person, they do it this way. And when they work with someone else, they do it another way. And nobody really knows what they're doing. They're kind of waiting to be dictated to or be told what to do, how to do it. And it gets really frustrating. It's hard for people to just do their jobs and do it correctly. But the good news is that this is actually fixable, guys. For one of our logistics clients, the turning point was when a frontline employee said, why do we still use paper slips when the system already tracks the handoff? That one comment triggered a full review. Within 16 weeks, we removed redundant steps, retrained the staff on processes and software, really important because some of them did not know how to use some of it, and we cut their customer complaint volume by 40%. Not to mention, people had more time to do other things that they really need to do. It's not just about editing a document, right? It's about reconnecting your processes with your people. And when this happens, the energy shifts. People feel seen, they feel more confident. The work gets smoother. You can literally feel the momentum change. And I know for my team and I, we love to see the change unfold because we know it's possible. It's one of my team's favorite parts about working with some of our clients that were really struggling because we get to see the change have a positive impact. So, what the new world looks like is when SOPs are aligned, how your business actually operates, here's what happens. Teams become more autonomous. Okay. New hires onboarding becomes much faster. You can scale without breaking. You reduce errors and increase consistency. And you free up your team to focus on strategy, tasks, things like CX, and not babysitting their process. One of our clients kind of put it, I think, perfectly. For the first time, this is what they said, for the first time, I feel like we're rowing in the same direction. And I loved that. Let me close out with some tips for organizational improvement. Here's where to start. If you're nodding along right now and thinking, yep, it's time, here's a few tips to help you get started. Start with your highest frustrating areas. Where are people constantly asking questions? Where do mistakes keep happening? Start there. Observe the actual workflow. Don't rely on what the SOP says. Go see how people are really doing the work. Involve the people who are doing the work. They know where the friction is. Pull them in early. Okay. Next here is I want you to use visuals where you can. Screenshots, flowcharts, even screen recordings. They all beat a wall of text, especially for my visual learners. The last thing here is set a review schedule. SOPs should be a living document, quarterly, biannually. Reviews should be baked into your operational rhythm. So, is it time to revamp your SOPs? If things feel harder than they should be, if your team is improvising more than executing, if you're scaling but still feel kind of stuck in the mud, chances are it's time. These are not just documentation, they are how your business breathes. When you get them right, everything gets a little bit lighter, a little bit faster, and more aligned. So if you've got questions or you want help figuring out where to start, drop in the comments below or reach out on my website. It's CPC and then the words changeagent.com. That's CPC changeagent.com. I'd be happy to share what I've seen work. Until next time, don't leave your operations to chance, build them by design. We'll see you next time.